everyone, welcome back to the LFC Toronto show, and we're back a little later than we were hoping. I think we started slowly, kind of sounds like some other team we all know and love, so sounds a little bit familiar. But as always, we have Mr. President Jake Lotta with us. How's it going, Prez?
Yeah. Good. How y'all doing, gents?
And Dan, welcome as well. I think we haven't recorded for about a month now, so
it feels like ages.
Yeah, lots has happened since. But you know what? It was the end of summer here in Toronto. Beautiful time, lots of family time, and just generally stuff going on. But we're back now. We're back on the horse, and even though this is late that we're recording this, thought it was a good time to jump on. So we're going to probably keep this one a bit tight. We've joked about sometimes going over an hour before, but this one's going to be a bit more tight just to get us back on the horse and then get moving. So how's everyone doing? Jake, I'll start with you. How's things?
Good. Yeah, things are good. Season's started, so things are getting better from the pub perspective all around. So I appreciate something for us to do, which is great. And some more Dr. Klopp sessions to plan out.
Yeah.
So something for us to look forward to for the next 8 months, which is great.
Amazing. And Dan, it's going to now be 2 games a week till the World Cup, which is exciting.
Amazing for us as fans, right? We've been deprived of these matches and fixtures for so long. It feels like a month or whatever it was, but good over here. Busy AF, as the cool kids say. And just looking forward to a lot of good footy, as they say. And what else? Yeah, the club's in great shape. We have almost, I think, 300 members in total, if not more. And it's growing. From last season, we had really good uptake even during COVID. And this season, we picked up where we left off. And there's obviously a new couple of tiers in the membership tiers. So check it out, folks. Something for the entire family.
Before we get into the team, as in the football team, Jake. So now we are in Toronto. We're exclusively at Elephant and Castle, and then out west we're at Sly Fox. Happy with how things are going so far?
I think that the first few weeks numbers we're not really understanding the cadence, because the midweek games have been a really interesting dynamic. The Manchester United game, we didn't know how many people were going to show up. 300 plus showed up at the pub, which was great. Some Monday. The last Wednesday we had this last Newcastle game, we had a good draw, so that's great. Trying to figure out that nuance, because those weird timings that have happened, so people will adjust their calendars accordingly. So far, knock on wood, it's good. And we haven't even shared the things we have planned with the audience, which is forthcoming, which will blow their minds when they start seeing that. Dan's referenced already these 300 plus members. When they see what we have in store and what we're going to plan for the next couple of months, that number is going to double and triple in no time, which is fantastic.
Whoa.
Listen, that's what I'm saying to you. And Sly Fox is doing very well. Shout out to Daniel and Jackie and crew over there, that they're doing a great job there. Yeah. So that's building it up. The one big thing is that, the summer holidays is kind of coming to an end. So then you'll see more people come into the pubs, which is going to be great.
Yeah, I think the Canadian culture is very much anchored on Labor Day, right? Like school starts, work gets busy again, and I think we'll see a bit of normality for the next 3 months. But even us as the people who are assuming that we'll always be there, we've been in and out a little bit just from different things as well. So excited for that, and very excited about these teases. Jake, all the big things coming. Can we announce some of them on here first, so people are subscribing?
We will. Like I kid you not, there's 3 or 4 things that literally, for any Liverpool fan, once they get access to these things, will change their lives.
Change your lives. This is life changing. That's what you're saying right now. What you're saying right now, it's life changing. That's what you're saying right now.
Yeah, we're changing lives up in here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting concepts. I like it.
I used to work for a company where one of the core values was we love changing people's lives. Little did I know, a few years later, we'd be doing it again.
You're doing that again.
Okay, so I said at the top, we're going to use this episode just as a bit of a catch up. So a few things: transfer windows shut. So at this point, we have what we have. I really do want to get into that a little bit, just because I feel like for the first time in a while, I do feel like there is a bit of a divide now in the fan base. I'm not saying it's certainly not like the end of Rafa's reign or Hodge, or Brendan or anything like that. It's nowhere near that. But at the same time, I feel like for the first time, I'm seeing like a constant barrage of negativity, and it's nowhere exclusively. It's on social media, it's in the mainstream media, it's in text conversations. So one-to-one, I'm hearing it from people who may not necessarily be the most positive people, but still they're making a point to say it. And I'll say it as well, like even the tone in our WhatsApp group has been a little bit interesting as well.
Right.
No, it's all good, man. Everyone's valid to have an opinion.
No,
that's not a problem.
No,
but at the same time, it's not like, it's very noticeable that there is a certain vibe at the moment. So how are you both feeling about where the squad's at, where the team's at? Like where is your head at? Dan, you go first.
I'd like to just chime in on the overall discourse and the feelings and all that kind of stuff. So first with the fan base. So the fan base writ large, I do tend to agree with you, Azaz, on that. I have a feeling, or at least my sense is that it's more driven from the top Reds, bottom Reds, whatever that whole dynamic is, right? So there's that whole behind the scenes top Reds sort of thing. Now, do we want to devote more time talking about top Reds and bottom? No, but what I'm saying is that I think that those forces, those tectonic forces are at play.
Yeah.
With that being said, as a proxy, our club very much operates in that way, in that and it's through age divides, different demographic divides and splits and everything else, but that same sort of FSG out, top Reds would appreciate this, blah, 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 negativity mixed into a lot of banter and regular match day talk and things like that. I wholeheartedly agree. I think it's gotten surprisingly worse. And if you think about it, where have we come from? We've come from like an era of relative drought with respect to titles to now arguably the best time since the mid 80s or the late 80s, right? And for our fan base, and granted, a lot of our fan base are newer to the LFC, and that doesn't mean that there are less of fans or anything like that. It feels like we need that maturation. I'm not saying this for everybody, it's a very blanket statement, but we need some maturation within our fan base to accept others and others' views, but to a certain degree, use sort of derogatory terms or sort of language and things like that. And that's what's been happening a little bit. It's been creeping in. So I'm hoping that goes away, and I think it will, But again, losing is another thing. We haven't lost a lot, so just losing one match this entire year feels like, suddenly the end of the world. But that match that we lost is to who, and that really sparks a lot of fear. Sorry, go ahead, Azaz.
No, before I go to Jay, because I want his take on this as well, but we have lost 3 matches this season. We genuinely have, because in a title race with Man City, a draw is a defeat. But when they draw against Newcastle, it's also a defeat. Like, it can't be one rule for us and one rule for Man City when it comes to point accumulation. Like, I understand the frustration. Like, we were terrible against Fulham, and we were bad against Crystal Palace. Like, I understand that, but they've also already dropped points as well, and are very close to drop more points as well. So there's different elements of it, and who knows, like, let's just have this window shut and like see where it all nets out. But yeah, I think that part of it is like, officially, yes, we've only lost 1 game in the Premier League since December, so in this calendar year, and it kind of feels very cloudy. And I honestly think that, like, sometimes I look at the performance and I'm like, I see such a reflection of our vibe on the pitch, and we are so connected as a club and as a culture at Liverpool that I can't help but think that there is a connection. And people can think I'm crazy. People can say, what you're
No, I
talking
don't.
about. Like there's like,
No,
but
I
like
don't.
when we are high, like look at like around the time of like March, April, May 2018, like the Roma games and the City games, when we were just kind of like all one organism, the fans, the team,
Yeah.
like functioning and heart beating together. We were moving mountains. And now at this point, when it's suddenly all segregated and, you know, a couple of like transfers that people wanted that didn't work out and stuff. And like suddenly it's like we just have to write the season off. And like I feel like some of that energy is being reflected in the team.
Could I make just a quick point to that before Jake chimes in here? You guys pick up on this quite a bit, right? After matches. I'm talking about after matches, right? Especially at Anfield. You notice how the last match had Klopp go over and give the old, you know, like boom, boom, boom. That's what we had a lot of last season. And it's taken obviously a big win like what we had yesterday to get that reaction out of him, which is really funny, because if you went back to the 9-0 at Bournemouth, he wasn't doing that because like out of respect. He, you know, there's a decorum there, which he's one of, you know, Scott Parker, you know, but there was a bit of decorum there. Whereas like that feeling of connected and one being, one entity kind of thing, you're right. It has been degraded a bit from a couple things. One is somewhat of a lackluster planning strategy around transfers and refreshing the squad to the next big squad. Losing Sadio is a big thing. Don't ever discount that. And I don't think we discount that here, but I think that's a big thing. And then the other thing is just the poor start. Like some of those factors come into play. Injuries, Darwin's red. Like there's so many mitigating factors there, and we're still in it. Like we're still like, you know, like it's early in the season. So sorry, Jake. Go ahead.
I try my best from the chat perspective to just kind of let's see how it's going to play out. Now I'm kind of discouraged as to some of the dynamics and pushing the narratives as they are, because everyone has an equal voice, whoever you are, you know, every denomination, every culture, it doesn't matter to us, because essentially we are one as Liverpool fans. And it's really disheartening, to say the least, the negative culture that is being spread. And I wonder if, you know, if they were treated the same way in their jobs, like how would that play out? Are they already fired? Like I just, it's such a hard thing to swallow, and just that negative context festers and festers, and just you just alienate a lot of people. And then it gets to the point of like, you know, why are we having these discussions when, you know, I'm 6'2", 250 pounds. I'm not trying to be the biggest voice in the room. I'm just trying to have, you know, my points here and there. And I don't actually care if anybody agrees with them or not. They are my points, and they're my points for various reasons, as well as the other folks. However, I will never put down other people because of their points of reference, because they have cultural dynamics, where they come from, good days, bad days. You know, that's just who we are. Like, it's really, really, you know, touchy. I will say that. But, you know, what do they want? You know, you've said all the points. We went from Paul Konchesky to today. We went through the tough times. We have these squads, and these people are crying FSG out, this and that. I'm like, they can say all that stuff, but they're trying. They spent a ton of money already at the beginning of the transfer. Yes, the refreshing of the squad has been happening slowly but surely. Maybe not to everyone's delight and agreement, but it is what it is. And of course, when he said at the beginning of the season, we have 8 midfielders. We didn't know that all 8 were going to be injured. Like literally, we didn't know that was going to be the case. And how can you actually plan for that with the squad that you have to put in numbers for all the competitions? You have to put in numbers to all the competitions. What am I going to get? 30 midfielders that are going to sit on the bench? Then they're going to get alienated. They're going to run away? Like, give me a break. That is some utter bullshit. And also on that stead, if you have 10 or 15 midfielders, for argument's sake, and you want to get these players in, and you see that competition dynamic, why am I going to want to come in there? There's a little bit of like the apprehension saying like, well, they already have all this. I have to go against all these people that have been there for a time. There's all kinds of competition dynamics, so many metrics. And the chat is just bonkers, to say the least. But I'm just glad that sometimes that those people can get home, like just find their way home at the end of the day, right? But, you know, we'll take the good and the bad as we do. And we are level-headed in our commentary, because we know when we're shit, and we have been shit in the first
100%. Yeah.
Like, look at Carvalho's goal, just 2 seconds. 2 seconds. We were crying. Oh my God, he's going to stop the time. He's going to stop the time. Then we saw that 7 minutes. Holy shit. And we're like, okay, God. And then the last second that happened, right? That doesn't normally happen well, it doesn't, but right. Like we're just scraping by at the beginning. We're going to get our people back, and these crybabies will be gone. They'll be back on the bandwagon, although I'll put them in the back, like way in the back. But, it's just a hard thing for us because we're trying to grow the community. We're doing some good things. Like
it's Jurgen's fault, though.
It's
Jurgen's fault because he made us this good where even a loss, even a draw makes us react like this. Like, I mean, come on. Like, anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, and what I'll say about this as well is that with the FSG thing, what I do want to say as well is timing is really important, and timing is everything. So for Man United, for example, so before Fergie joins Man United, they have a very similar history in terms of titles as Aston Villa do, right? It's literally almost carbon copy. Alex Ferguson comes in 86. Liverpool and Everton are dominant. Then Liverpool and Arsenal are dominant. Leeds, as a promoted team, win the league before Alex Ferguson wins the league. But what they say about Alex Ferguson's project was it was meant to be sustained. Like, it wasn't meant to be you win the league in 3 years, you win the league in 5 years. It took him 7 years to win the league. And when he finally won the league, there was no heavyweight left. Like, we'd fallen off after Hillsborough. Arsenal had fallen off after like George Graham scandals and whatnot. And basically, Man U had a free run to the title against, ironically enough, Aston Villa, who had themselves only come up a couple of years ago, and a brand newly promoted Norwich City, right?
Yeah.
So, and then the next rival they had was Blackburn, who were newly promoted, right? So timing is so important. We just happen to have, unfortunately, we are going up against one of the greatest teams in terms of manager, squad depth, owner, financial doping as well, like all these things. But I don't think FSG are here for 2 minutes. They're not here for 10 minutes, they want to be here for, it sounds like, for another 10, 15, 20 years. So we are the envy of all the other clubs from a business perspective. And I know that fans don't care about the business. They want to win on the pitch and all that stuff. And they're right. They can have that opinion. But at the end of the day, what we are doing is also being set up for success in the future as well, because not everybody can win everything right now. And the coolest example of this is not just Man United now. Everyone talks about United have spent $1 billion. Chelsea have spent 500 million in 3 seasons. Forget Man U have spent $1 billion since Ferguson. Chelsea have spent 500 million in 3 seasons and have won Champions League. And we've won everything for which one would you rather be? I don't understand. Which model is it? Because the model of Manchester City, it's just not us. Feel free to jump on that bandwagon and chase that glory. It's not us. And there's one bandwagon's about to start. It's called Newcastle United. Jump on it. Go for it. It's going to be an amazing ride. They're going to buy a shitload of players. First, they'll get they're doing. They got Isaac in. He looks amazing. They've got good players already. Then they'll upgrade. And eventually they'll start to challenge for the title if their spend is like that. So there's one of those bandwagons is about to start. But Rassam said something really interesting today in the group, which I quoted again, is we aren't just about the success on the pitch. Yes, we just happen to be the most successful team as well. But there's so much about our club is about culture and togetherness and, community and all these things. So it's not just about the trophies. All the while, we challenged for 4 trophies last year till the very last 2 games of both. It blows my mind. It just blows my mind, as you can see. I would have loved Bellingham this year. I would have loved a couple of big signings. I would have loved Tchouaméni. I would have loved all those people. It's cool. I get it. But at the same time, I'm just not going to spoil my enjoyment of this is escapism to me as much as it is passion. It's also escapism, right? And I just can't sour that for myself because it's pure school kid joy when I'm watching Liverpool. And sometimes it hurts and sometimes it doesn't. But for every moment we get, like Cavallio the other day, some clubs get one of those a season, like one of those every 2 years, one of those every 3 years. We've had the worst start for about 10 years and we've already had one of those miracle moments. It's like, we are spoiled. We definitely are spoiled.
They're definitely spoiled. Absolutely. No, those are great points to bring up. I absolutely concur. I mean, to take the contrarian view here, just really briefly.
Sure.
I think what irks a lot of folks on the other side of that argument, right? Like, how could you feel like this when we had this much success and all this kind of stuff? I think it actually comes from City's success.
Of course.
And what I mean by that is you're absolutely right when it says that, timing is everything, eras matter, when who you're up against, right? Who are your biggest rivals. The problem with City is that they just haven't dropped a level. Aside from that one season where we won the title and it's sort of gone, they just haven't dropped the level. And what makes it even more perplexing, and I kind of mentioned this in the chat a bit in my own diatribe, was around how well they are actually operating from a football operations and scouting standpoint. Like, they're picking up Alvarez on the cheap. They're scouting from Spain, from different locales. Yeah, they'll spend on Haaland and all that kind of stuff. And wages are probably the highest in the league. But in terms of transfers in and out, especially out, they are very, very efficient. There was a graphic, I think, on social media, Ajax being the big club that's had a lot of outgoings. They've taken in something like 177 or 200 million or something.
Yeah.
Right? But over the past,
just like daylight robbery of one club.
Right.
Yeah.
And number three in that, no, exactly. And then number three, they're probably counting Ten Hag's like, oh yes, he's gone to United kind of thing, right? But
Agent Ten Hag.
That's right. Agent Ten Hag, right? But number three on the list is actually Manchester City. So if you're thinking about it, well, City spend, well, they spend. But guess what? You look at net spend, and I know this is a big thing for our fan base on net spend, but the real culprits are, as you said, Chelsea's one, Everton are another, and United are up there as well. So like those three are the big culprits, but the actually efficient clubs, not counting the financial doping and everything else, the City and Liverpool. And the problem that I think our fan base has is City are getting that extra, right? So aside from the financial fair play, their model is different than ours. We know that. But what's really interesting is that we buy players, they buy players at high values, generally high 40, 50 million pounds. The problem is that we are only allowed a certain amount of those players versus they are. Like they have sort of more of a fluid strategy where they can replace that player next season. Open book, but then resell that player and make a decent coin and then get another player in to actually, fix the problem. Whereas we don't have that sort of leniency. And that's where I think our fan base really hones in on our ownership and says, guys, you realize what we have here? We have Jurgen Klopp. He's a master. We have a scouting. We have the infrastructure. We have like everything going for us right now, including our current squad. Could you not loosen the purse strings a little bit to then really
that's what he said, though, this week, right? He said the same thing. A bit of risk.
Who did?
I'd like a little bit of risk.
Jurgen said that. I mean, that's just being pragmatic like Jurgen, right? Which is to say, like, capitalize on the time that you have. Even though we're going up against the City, it's not like we're that far off. And if that meant pushing that transfer, let's say even to January or even like a pre-contract to next year, let's do it now. Let's get that. You know what I mean? Like, that's the sense I think where
that could be January.
Ian fan base might be a bit pissed off at. Sorry, go ahead.
Cool, but that then means that like Salah or Mane or Bobby had to go 2 years ago. Like that's what that means. Because that's what they just did with Sterling. And yet, if we sold Mane this season, and it's still like controversial, and it can be, he's a legend and stuff. But what I'm saying is, we are culturally and values wise different than Manchester City as well.
100%.
Like,
100%.
Like Sterling goes for like 60 million or whatever this year, and they're just like, cool. Like we're just gonna. If we lost one, we still pine over Genie. Like in chats, people are still pining over a guy who flopped after he left us, and it's like, oh, but Genie would have been the guy. Like only like we can't let go. So like we can't have it always. Like like realistically, under that model, which I think would be wicked, by the way, Dan. Like I think like if we adopted that kind of system, What we can't do is sell Ox and get Bellingham. Like, that's not, we could sell Harvey and get Bellingham, but we're not going to want to do that, right? Like 2 years ago, we could sell Curtis Jones to like a Burnley or a mid-table team. Yeah, a Bournemouth. Sell Curtis Jones for 40 million and then like buy Bellingham for 100 or whatever.
Yeah.
And people would freak out. Like, our fan base would be like, he's Scouse. We've lost our way. We used to promote from you. So like, people want to upgrade Minamino for Mbappe. They don't want to do Mane or Salah for Mbappe. Do you get what
actually spells of it? I absolutely, that's a great point you bring up, because it speaks to something that Jurgen also mentioned a while back, which is use of the squad use, right? Even in our quadruple run, aside from AFCON where we had to sub in a lot, right? Generally, it was the core components of the squad. Like, Trent wasn't resting many matches, right? I mean, Bravo and Tsimikas bid on the cup matches, but if you look at the rest of the squad, there was maybe Naby here and there, and a bit of midfield turnover, but the front three, like, they were going in and out, and it speaks to how City use their squad. They have obviously a daunting bench, and they use their bench, right? Like, so Pep will start like Mahrez and Foden and now Haaland, right? And the next match it'll be somebody else, right? I mean, like, it won't be the exact same lineup, but they'll have some flexibility. For us, I guess where we felt almost a bit of relief, I think, as a fan base, was the second half of last season when we had Diaz come in to an already strong, so that provided so much of flexibility and freedom, breath, to like breathe and actually have some options. That's what I think a lot of that angst, a lot of that pushback from our fan base comes from. All that top red talk is, I think, coming from a lot of that angst, which is like, why can't we have not the same options and flexibility as a Chelsea or City, but maybe have one or two more? So instead of it being Ox or somebody who's maybe, like a tacky, it could be, I'm not saying Jude Bellingham, but it could be something, like higher, like maybe a more quality, on that option. Because, at the end of the day, Ox is probably not going to be back to his old self. And he's like, lasting out his contract and whatnot. And that's where I feel like the fans actually empathize. Like, these same fans actually empathize with Klopp to say that, man, support this guy. Like, this guy's putting everything. He's made us overperform like crazy because he's built that connection. He's built that style of play. He's using the squad so efficiently. He's doing all these things. And now it's like, guess what? He can't compete because he can't get an extra midfielder. And I know we have like Arthur Mello, whatever, in today, but I don't know, just a little bit of like, risk, as he said, I think would really help us. Sorry, Jake, go on.
Let's just see how this plays out. Like, you know what? Let's have this conversation again in a month.
Yeah.
See how things settle in. I do agree with everything you're saying. From a City perspective, one thing they have that we don't is they have their infrastructure of, like, they've bought 15 teams around the world, and they have that structure that we don't. Yeah. And we're getting it slowly but surely, but we're just not at that level yet. But we'll see how that plays out, nevertheless. But
I'm just thinking,
conversation is going to happen over and over again for sure. But
last thing to close the City point, in the last 4 or 5 years, they have let go of Company, Silva, and Aguero for free. Right? What's our corresponding version of that? They've also let go of Sterling, Sane, Jesus, Zinchenko. We would literally freak out if our counterparts of them were let go. Genie, again, is the classic example I come back to. So, we'll have this conversation again, I'm sure, particularly in a couple of weeks' time when things settle. So just to wrap a little bit, bring this, because we've got a lot to say, but we also want to pace it out in the next coming weeks. Let's do a really quick roundtable. Firstly, what do we like so far? Jake, you go first. I think
that I'm really loving the fact that we have two 17/18-year-old kids in Fabio and Harvey that are playing to their levels. And I do love the fact that to another level, being pressure situations coming to a club like this, like Harvey, this last game, he was on fire. And I love that.
Unbelievable.
I honestly, I wish I said it so many times. I wish this guy can grow another 3 inches and put on another 15 pounds, but I love it. I love the intensity he's on. I love he's got a freedom role. I love it, and Fab's coming in as well. And so I think that they're interchangeable for both of them. I love that aspect. I love the fact that we're fighting. We're still fighting with all the shit that's been happening to us. I don't care the Darwins or whatever else. I love all that stuff. I did also like that in the clip the other day with Darwin saying fuck off, basically. I love the enthusiasm from Thiago, all the whole bench and whatever else. And it's just going to bode well for the continue. Like a few more players come in. We're going to be, I thought more would go out. I thought maybe Nate and a few others would go, but nevertheless, I do like a lot of aspects of this. We have pressure situations, whereas I know we played however we played against Newcastle, but we had 78% possession. We had, I don't know, almost 30 shots on net. 30 shots with 6 or 8 on net. But we are playing slowly but surely. We're getting better and better each week, which is fine. And I want Ramsey to come back in and see to give Trent a little bit of a breather too from that standpoint. But I do like that. Daniel?
Yeah. No, I thought we've obviously struggled early, but I always felt Jota being the key guy for us. I always felt like he's a link in attack that could really alleviate the pressure. I think one of the things that we've sort of seen in the first part of the season is just that link between Mo and Luis, and I think that sort of front three self-creation. I don't think that's been as fluent as it has been. Bobby's come in now and obviously picked up his game. But with Sadio, Luis, and Mo, like at the end of last season, there started to be that sort of chemistry, and people always cry about this, and I get why, but we're not a traditional team, or the way that we play is not traditional in the sense that we don't have like a number 10 Pirlo or like Ericsson or someone like that to like or a Coutinho to really be a playmaker. It's really playmaking by winning the ball back and getting it to our front three. And yes, if there's a strike here and there from Thiago or Hendo or something like that, great. But otherwise, it's like that creativeness is coming from our flanks and from the front three. So that's what I felt has been a bit lacking. Integrating Nunes as well, like it's going to be tough. It has been a little bit. To be fair, he's played beyond, I think, my expectation. How about yours? In terms of just coming in, scoring a couple of goals, having that passion. He's a young cat, though. He's gonna sort of pick that up as it goes. But I don't know. I think where I'm a bit disappointed is our D.
Yeah.
Generally, I think our D has been a bit lax.
Yeah,
not as sharp.
Right.
Honestly, yeah, Virgin. I would say Virgin Robbo have probably let me down the most over the past. Few games. Ali's been Ali. I think Trent a little bit here and there, but I mean Trent and Joe. I think Joe, by the way, Gomez, has taken a lot of undue flack. I hear it all the time at the pub, in the WhatsApp chat, in wherever. And I'm like, how's this going, man? Like, how are people harping on this guy? Like, he's come back from major injuries. He's playing relatively well. Yes, he didn't have the best game last game, but I think he's been decent. So I don't know. I'm optimistic. As we get more bodies, we're just going to get better.
And only the small matter of the Merseyside derby coming up on Saturday. How are you guys feeling? How are you guys feeling about this one?
I think we're going to do. I don't know what's going on with their team, as in the Blues. They I don't know if they've just let go of their guy. I mean Connor Cody. I like Connor Cody. They've got some new players in, but I think we'll do very well. I'm hoping for a 3-0 or 3-1 is what I think is going to happen for us.
3-1. Is that Goodison though?
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay. As long as T-Rex doesn't like do some shit to Virgil or somebody like that, I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more cagey. I think it'll be a 2-1. But if Nunez is probably going to get a red at some point again. I just have a feeling that
he's probably only going to get like 30 minutes. You think he's going to start? I don't think he's going to start.
He's ready to. But what Klopp did just really quick on the match itself. I think what Klopp did last match wasn't so much Hendo outside, but Trent and Robbo and stuff like that resting is kind of for this match, right? At the end of the day, to keep them a bit fresh. So, I'm anticipating a win, but let's see how it goes. What do you think, Azaz?
I think it'll be a battle just because all of our opponents are getting buoyed by the shithousery. Like it's getting worse every week right now, like the falling and the cramps and the faking. And
Shit,
obviously like Everton are gonna be like the master of it, and like in their own home as well. Like it's one
Gordon
thing to
too.
come to Anfield to do it. Yeah. It's one thing to come to Anfield to do it, and like our fans are able to give it to you, and that, they're all humans. They're like 11 humans, and the ref 12 humans. Like they can feel the pressure of a cauldron like Anfield on them. But like in Goodison, if they're able to do that, like it's going to be difficult for us. So, for me, it's like it's about time to start keeping some clean sheets now. That was one of the highlights of our run after Christmas and into this year. Like what really propelled us towards this big push was a bit of a tighter defense, because this time last season we were also just conceding like 2s and 3s against like Brighton and Bournemouth and stuff. So to me, it's like I will take a 1-0 and I'll take a couple of 1-0s at this point, just to like really get some of that back. But for that to happen, we do need key people to come back on form.
Yeah, no, it seems like that. Yeah.
Cool, folks. I'm going to wrap us up here. This was fun. Happy we got to do this again. And now let's go back to doing it every week, because we've got 2 games to talk about every week. So PSA, if anyone wants to be on and join us and basically push on my screen, push Jake over here and then take this seat over here, please reach out to us. We'd love to have more of our community join in. But for now, thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, share, and we shall see you next week.
Thanks. Hello.
Bye. I think
Bye.
Jake froze, by the way.
Yeah, I think he's frozen. I think he's for both top and bottom reds.